Hi, this is Don Williams. The short movie I'll be showing you here is meant to supplement the paper on measurements of historical papers, parchments and vellums, leathers, inks, and pigments. So I'll give you an overview of what I'll be showing you here and what this little application is that I'll be working in. This is an application called Color Think, and it allows us to import color data, LAB, XYZ, whatever. Yes, even images with known profiles, and it will plot the colors and allow you to see them and visualize them better than in almost any other application I've seen. So briefly, I'll be showing you down here a typical color, two-dimensional color space that is often seen when describing color imagery. And you'll see we have this. Notice this is a 2D version, and most of the time you see this because actually color is three-dimensional. It's lightness, chroma, and hue. And you can see that pretty much here, except you don't see the lightness part here, and that's what we're going to be showing you when we move to the 3D version of this. So as you go out into this color space here, this YXY color space, is that you'll see, as we go out to the edges, that's higher saturation. And as we go around, those are different hues. So you see, okay, yellow, that's a hue, green, that's a hue. And as you go out, it's a more saturated green. So those are the kind of words we're using. And right in the center, those are what they call white points. I'm going to be more general in how we describe these. This is just a high level view. So we have, right now, you're going to see a very popular one. But the reason I don't like using this, and when doing human visual assessments, this is not an optimal one to use because distances in this color space, equal distances are not necessarily or hardly ever equal visual differences. These are equal scientific differences, but not equal human differences. So that's what LAB is. So just to give you a sense of where the colors that were measured with the parchment, vellums, leathers, and inks lie in this particular space, I'm just going to click that on, and there they are. They're these little squares, and basically I can change those to cubes or whatever, but we're going to use these squares. I'm going to change the size just a bit to give you a better idea of where they lie. I'm going to zoom in a bit, and you'll see that they're mostly in this yellow, brown region. There's a few out here in the reds. That's because there were more than parchments and vellums measured here. Okay, so, and by the way, notice that they're not necessarily high saturation at all. What you don't see here is how light or dark they are, even though they're rendered as light and dark, is that you don't get a sense of the quantitative sense of that. So I'm going to zoom back out. And so this is meant to give you a benchmark of how you typically see these rendered in publications. But now I'm going to switch to this LAB mode. It's still a two-dimensional sense. And the next step after this is a three-dimensional. So by the way, we're still looking at the actual measured ones. So I'm going to switch to LAB. The reason we like working in LAB is that equal distances here tend to be equal visual differences also. So you'll see, again, that there's a very limited concentration. Okay, so what is this LAB space? Let me give you some rationale for this. Is right here at this intersection, that's all the neutrals, light to dark. And remember, we don't see this because this is just a two-dimensional sense. We're just seeing two variables of color, the hue and the saturation. So as you go around in a circular sense, those are changing hues, red, green, blues. And as you go out to the perimeters, that's higher saturation. And you say, so how do we determine lightness or darknesses? Well, we're going to do that by going into this 3D mode. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to see, we're going to see how LABs are rendered in 3D. And there you go. So let this swing around. High lightness, whites, low lightnesses, blacks down here. And that is all the measurements. Notice it's a very narrow hue angle, is that it's right in this yellow brown. So this is what they call, oh, this is like an 80 degree to 90 degree hue angle, just to give you some terminology. I'm going to now provide some context of where these colors lie with respect to certain color calibration targets we use to make approximations of these colors when we digitize them. So I'm going to do this right now. And I'm just going to switch to the 2D mode for now. Okay. I'm going to turn, popular one is the color checker SG. Where do those colors? There they are. Those are the colors for the color checker SG. And by the way, to avoid confusion, I'm going to turn all the parchments and vellums into a single color. We're going to turn those into blacks. Okay, this will give you a better indication of where those measured colors for this study are relative to the color checker SG. And I'm going to toggle that, and you'll see that right in this area here, there's pretty much a big void of the content that we just measured. So the rationale here, if we're interested in those, we might want to calibrate to those kinds of colors on our target. Oh, there's a few out here. These are flesh tones that were in the original color checker SG. But you'll see that right in here is where we'd like to populate more. So what we've done with the FADGI target is to try to do a better job there. I'm going to turn the vellums back on, turn off the color checker SG, and turn on the FADGI. So now, as I toggle the parchments and vellums, we've done a somewhat better job, not perfect, but we've done a whole lot better populating the parchment and vellum space, hue space, with the targets on the FADGI 19264 target. So this is what this movie is meant to show you, is how we can generate different colors on targets to do, ideally, a better job in color calibrating for specific content. In this case, the parchments and vellums. I'll just show this finally in a 3D mode, just to, so there they are again. We didn't do it specifically to parchments and vellums because there are other kinds of colors in most collections. So at this point, I will just go back into the 2D mode to make things stable, and we will conclude this small little movie.